All right. I am so excited to have this conversation. I have the one and only LaVada English, founder and CEO of NAWAI, an organization that I have recently joined as a founding member. And I am so grateful to her and the team for putting it together. NAWA stands for the National Association of Women in AI. And I love to talk about AI and systems and how to, create better processes so you run your small business better. So it was right up my alley to be able to join them upon an invitation from a dear friend, Dr. Thiele Batch. So I'm excited and I hope to have her in one of these conversations soon too. But we were brought together by her. So I have to give her kudos because it was a great connection for me. And I'm so excited for what the future holds with Levada and Nawa. And yeah, so without further ado, Levada, tell the people about yourself.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, Otissa. It is quite an honor, and I'm honored to have you as a founding member. I know we're going to have a long and beautiful relationship and friendship already, right? So I am LaVada English. I am the founder, co-founder, and co-CEO of the National Association for Women in AI, NAWAI. I'm also the founder and CEO for a learning and development company called Right Places Incorporated. And I sort of bridging these two passions together when I created NAWAI because I see that there's a need for women like me and all of us, really, because we're an inclusive organization,
Mhm.
even though we center women. There's a need for us to ensure that we are ready and equipped for the AI future. So we're carrying the many years, the many skills that we have acquired into an AI future. And this association that we created is in order to enable us to be the best in the future. And so, in addition to that, I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I have three beautiful daughters. I live in California and I get to meet amazing women like Otissa out here. And I'm excited to be here.
Excellent. I love that. Thank you for that. And I'm so excited. So I'm going to jump right into the conversation because I know time is precious and I want the people to know a little bit about what I know about you and the businesses that you run on a day-to-day basis. So I have a screen over here with a few questions. They'll be painless, but I do want you to tell the folks, how did you actually start Nawai, excuse me, and Bright Places? Like, what was the catalyst for you? You talked about bringing, people together and all of that, but I'd love for you just a little bit of what we haven't heard just yet about the why for you.
Yeah. So here's how I want to start this. Just lean, ladies, gentlemen, lean into who you are, right? Both of my businesses were started out of my own passion to want to make impact and change. Okay. And also organically from relationships. With Right Places Incorporated, I was already in learning and development, career development, recruiting for many years in corporate environments. But I saw a gap, I saw dysfunction, and I saw an opportunity for me to come position myself, if you will, outside of the politics of the organization
Uh-huh.
and bring the skill sets and the information that I learned over those years, acquiring leadership skills, acquiring some trauma, let's be honest, and building relationships. And I was able to leverage that into a consultancy. So when I went to my consultancy, I actually took clients from all of those years and relationships.
Uh-huh.
I didn't start out cold. They were already my clients internally. And
Yeah.
so I flipped them into my clients to start my consultancy. And I actually went around the organization I was working with and said, if I became a consultant, would you come with me? And they say, absolutely. We would love to. Actually, they wanted to keep me in house in different departments.
Yeah.
And I said, no, no, no. I want to step outside. So knowing that I was hiring people specifically into organizations, and then they were coming back to me and saying, this team is dysfunctional.
Mm.
This manager laid out the red carpet for me. And now, after the ticker tape parade, I'm not being treated fairly. So
Yeah.
that's where the passion came. Like, what is keeping people from being the best leaders and developing the best teams? That was born out of that. And then the National Association for Women in AI, again, born out of me seeing the
Yeah.
need
Hmm.
for us to fill in a gap and actually supported by relationships. Already have the relationships with people and associations and organizations to bring them together to build a movement that will help us to protect ourselves. So for me, it's about leaning into your authentic self, your
Yeah.
relationships, leveraging the relationships you have, and leaning into the skills. So you're not trying to reinvent yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
just building upon who you already are and making it into a business. And if you think about it, many of the functions that require you to be an entrepreneur, many of us are already doing, especially
Yeah.
if you are a determined Black woman and you're
Yeah.
taking things that you probably shouldn't be taking on
Mhm.
inside of corporate environments. You're already running a business.
Yeah, I think something that you just said, so many different things to unpack for the audience. So, one of the first things I think is the authenticity of leaning into what your God given superpowers already are. Don't fight that. And actually finding a way to actually make a business out of that calling. Right. And
Yeah.
so I think that that is something that, every entrepreneur, small business owner can relate to the fact that, yeah, that was something that just became very easy to you. And so quite often that gift that we're talking about, it's the thing that literally it's harder to other people to do it, but to you, it's like, it's literally just like getting up in the morning, putting on your clothes. It's, very simple to you to do that. And interesting because a part of my journey was things that were very easy for me to do that I was like, wow, that's harder for other people to do. And being able to leverage that now in Bravara as I help, businesses to really try and leverage, the best operations that they can, in their small business, no matter what the scale is. And it is something that for some people, it's not second nature. They're brilliant at the idea of their business, but
Yeah.
they don't have to be brilliant in all the areas and functions of business. And that's what I talk about. Like, listen, you have a gift, you're selling whatever you're selling, a service or a product. You don't have to be great at marketing, great at
Mhm.
finance, great at customer service. You don't have to be great at all those. You need to be good, but you don't have to be great at that. You can actually deploy, an army of other folks on your behalf to continue to thrive and help you to grow that vision. So I love that you said that.
Mhm.
Leaning into it, but then also knowing when to partner and bring in others to help you to bring the vision even clearer into more folks. So thank you for that. Tell me about in your practice and what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, what are the business operational things that are still taking you? And I know LaVada has her AI tools are on par, like with, having them very organized. I've seen it before. I am impressed. I'm like, all right, she calls me a little higher in some of those areas too. But I love that you are an example of that. And it is something that I talk about and help others to do. But I've actually seen, your desktop and seen how you organize it. But I'd love for you to share with the people what is the thing that what did you start with in your business when you started? Because I know you also started to leverage AI some years ago.
Mhm.
And what are the things you have been running a business prior to the introduction of AI, right? As but then you incorporated it. What was the first thing you started with?
Yeah. So for me, you start with understanding your strengths, right? So go back to what Otis was saying. Very, very true, right? Where are my gaps, right? And so I did an assessment to see, what do I need to take myself to the next level and where are my gaps? And I brought in folks that understood operations, understood marketing, understood helping me with curriculum design. Even though I knew some things, I just wanted to make
Yeah.
sure I, had some folks helping me. So I had a team helping me with those different functions, right? And then I was able to operationalize. So I had a whole tech team that would manage the website side, the communication side, hired an administrative assistant, an SEO specialist, all of those things to help me out. And then I was mostly managing the customer facing side of things.
Uh-huh.
So
Mhm.
for me, in the beginning, it was heavy on me managing, customer relations, and most of that was because those were people that already knew me.
Uh-huh.
So there was no cold calling in my business in the beginning. It was all referral based. It was all relationships based. And then I was eventually able to transition that over to more of our operations team that they
Uh-huh.
could work directly with clients, right?
Uh-huh.
So there were many systems that we were using and processes, but I was really open to this is not my gift. So I
Mhm.
don't want to be in it because I want to be on stage. I want to be speaking. I want to be,
Yeah.
Developing curriculum, I could do. I love doing that. Those are the things that made me shine, and so I stuck with the things that made me shine, and I got help in other areas.
Yeah.
And when I was able to really lean into that, our revenue tripled, to be honest. It tripled, and, I was able to make much more in terms of revenue and profit than I did working inside of corporations. And now a lot of that, like you said, is operationalized through AI. It's not that I replace people, it's just that I was able to take what we already had and enhance it to the level of, I want to say, my desire, in essence, like
Mm.
all the things I wish I had. I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
so I can, now I can have someone analyze curriculum
Mhm.
quicker, right? And now I can have someone to give me a marketing plan much faster.
Mhm.
Now I can automate my social media, and my emails and my
Yeah.
funnels.
Mhm.
Now I can make changes quickly to my website, so I have the proper forms that go in and out and the proper flow and connections. So it just helped us to move faster, and I would
Mhm.
have never been able to manage both of these organizations in the past the way I can now. It would have been just sitting there as a vision, and I would have had to hand it over to someone else eventually when I was able to get stabilized the first business enough to be able to do that. That's my operations, but, a lot of it is through automations and systems that I'm ready to start something else now. It's crazy, right?
I love well, and that's amazing. You're like, "Bring on the next one."
Right?
But I love that. So here's the thing that I think as I am talking to a lot of small business owners and, the journey, there's familiarity in the journey, but I think you positioned it extremely well and articulated it extremely well to the point of like, there's no way that I could have done this before. And so I'm constantly talking about, listen, you guys, small business owners, those that are still dabbling and kind of, circling the fence on AI and how much they should put it in their business. I think your testament of what you've been able to do, like you've done it the other way. Right. And then, I think with the first company, it was definitely more of a manual effort even
Mhm.
though you had supporting team members around to, bear some of the weight. And then with the newer venture, it's like you've been able to truly leverage, AI and these better and more enhanced systems to be quicker and more efficient because I mean truly the race is given to the one that can answer these things and move faster because
Yeah,
when a buyer is ready to go you don't want to give them obstacles, right? You want to give them solutions and ease in the process to be able to work with you. So you sold them on the message of here's why you should work with me and the solution that I can bring to you and your organization. And then the next piece is how quickly can I get it to you, right? And people want that immediacy. I always say, listen, AI is not magic. So I do not claim that it's magic, but I do claim that it brings about efficiencies that were not there before that
mhm,
you can now have with ease. And do you
yeah,
have to teach your AI tool and give it the right inputs and, prompt it, in a very strategic way? Yes, you do. But
mhm.
once you do that, the savings, I'd love for you to just say, give me just a number, Laveda, of time saved. Like what task maybe took you, I don't know, 20 to 30 hours in your business, which now takes you what?
I move 70% faster. It's crazy. But
I love that.
here's something important that you said, you kinda touched on, Otissa. I already have experience from the past that helps me to be able to move 70% faster. So I
Mhm.
know if it's producing something that I want, and I know how to quickly correct, you know. I like to say that expertise is not about perfection, it's about knowing how to correct things faster.
Mhm.
That's when you're an expert, right? I get to
Yeah.
you quickly correct. So I can correct the AI quickly because I have that prior experience, right? So it's really
Yes.
important for you to get your foundational experience, and you should have a framework for everything, right? You talked about operations, right? So everything is frameworked organically for me.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes when I'm explaining things to people, I have to go back and, let them know how I'm processing because I have this experience to do that quickly. So, one of the frameworks I like to use is three. So you have three main functional areas or three flagship things that you're offering, and then under them you have three different ways that you offer them.
Uh-huh.
So, for example, in my first business, it's coaching, team training, and strategic planning. Right. So I have those three. And
Mhm.
then there's 3 different offers underneath each of them, 3 different ways I can deliver that, right? So, when I'm going and I'm putting things together with I know it needs to be framed out that way.
Mhm.
I'm not allowing it to make up my foundations,
Yeah.
right? So you need to get your
Mhm.
foundation straight. And that's why I said leaning into who you are is important because you have what you need. You have the foundation. Many of us
Yeah.
have been in our fields or you're in school if you're new, you're building out a foundation, but you can't go to AI without that. This
Mhm.
is what I need. This is the
Yep.
structure. These are my principles, my vision, my mission, my standards.
Yeah.
Those that's what makes you move faster.
Mhm.
Otherwise, the AI can actually surprisingly slow you down
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
you're constantly going back to try to get it right.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have to do that. I have a tool, that we're gonna be talking about this week, as a matter of fact, tomorrow, one that I really love called Gamma AI for those of
Yeah.
you who are not using it yet.
Mhm.
But I can take what I have because I've structured it over the years, and I can put that in Gamma, and I can be ready for a presentation in 5 minutes.
Yeah, yeah. I love what you just let me just interject just, like, real quickly. So, it's funny because I think I said I'm doing a workshop, a 90-minute workshop in Texas in a couple of weeks here, and speaking of presentations, it's so funny. So, I use Gamma, beautiful AI, Notebook LM, and I'm, like, like, trying to, like, I've got my outline, I know what I want, I have that foundation that you're talking about, and I go to these tools to try to produce something. And honestly, for me, the quality is still a work in progress.
Mhm.
So I think it's interesting because I talk to people about, listen, once you have taught an AI tool, I haven't taught those as much as I've taught like Claude
Right.
and Chat GPT. I haven't taught those tools as much. So I'm working on that. But what I do is I take from Claude, from ChatGPT, I get like a business briefing, like a playbook for my business, like all the things, all the knowledge that I have put
Mhm.
into those tools. And I actually take that and that's what I use to give me a quick shortcut, right? To, some of the enhancements for the other tools. And I tell people this, listen, don't rely on these tools forever in this sense. Like you need to be taking that playbook every 30 to 90 days, I say, and like downloading it. Download it, put it off those platforms so that you can leverage it because as an individual and an owner, you are evolving, your business is evolving, you're gaining new insights from your customer interactions as well as the ones from your prospecting. And you want to be able to take all of that information, especially the good and final things, and leverage it in some of the other AI tools. I always talk about
Yeah.
this. I love that you are speaking in an indirect way to that. And I'm
Mhm.
even talking about my own personal experience in preparing for this workshop and going like, I have Canva, right? And I built things in Canva and PowerPoint for decades and all those things. And I'm still tweaking, to get it
Yeah.
just right to what I want and with the warmth that I like. Right. And so I think it is a great thing because the time savers only come from building the foundation right.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think one of the things that's important for us to emphasize is from an operationalizing a business, right? When you operationalize a business, you don't jump from tool to tool when you've
Mhm.
invested it. Right.
Yep.
You invest in this tool. It would be like you have a large company and they have Microsoft Suite, right? And then they found out there's something great over at Google. So every time they
Yeah.
find something great, they're going to change over to Google now, right? And then they're like, okay, well, Yahoo came out with something great. So now I'm going to
Yeah.
change over to
Yeah.
Yahoo, right?
Hmm.
You're not going to do that. So there's a lot of tools out here, right? So for me, when people say, oh, you can use another tool and make it better. Well, just like Otissa said, I already invested in teaching this tool who I am.
Yep.
So I'll use the other tools to kind of enhance. But my primary tool, like if I start out with chat, I would rather wait for chat to catch up with
Yeah.
those other features than to try to rebuild my whole infrastructure inside of a new system. Even though I may use those systems
Yeah.
a little bit, I'd rather take, like you said, download my toolkit from chat and use it over there and then put it back over here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think for AI, I think, just because we're talking about operation, we got to keep people from having squirrel brain with
Yes.
this stuff,
Shiny object. Like, oh,
the
here's another one.
object,
Here's another
right?
one.
Because I
Yeah.
think there's more of a risk at people not reaching peak operationalization, if that's a word, right?
Absolutely.
Um,
Fatigue, just fatigue,
fatigue, right? That
fatigue
you're
from it
letting
all.
the tools pull you. And even when we meet on a weekly basis and I'm showing you new tools, pick the one that
Mm.
resonates with you and stay there.
Yep, yep, yep.
And then use the other ones to enhance and bring some of the information back to it because they'll catch up.
Yep,
If
yep.
there's anything out here that you're hearing that ChatGPT doesn't have, like Claude Perplexity has, actually ChatGPT is gonna catch up with Claude and
Oh,
Perplexity.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Or they're gonna merge eventually. Like
Ye
AI is all over the place right now, but these companies are gonna start buying other companies
Oh, yeah.
and those tools are gonna merge. So don't
Yeah.
jump around if you wanna get to peak.
Well, and it actually so this is what my workshop is about in a couple of weeks, so I
Oh,
love
yeah.
that. I mean,
Yeah.
we're gonna do some different activities, it's gonna be fun, so if you guys wanna register for AI Icon, do that.
Do
But,
it. Do it.
yeah, but it is all about that because I know what I've experienced myself. I know what I've talked to other small business owners about what they're experiencing. And I have a range of clients that, one of the things that you said, I thought about one of the corporate companies that I worked with, and we had for years a project about Salesforce. Salesforce is a behemoth of an application in a large corporation, right? It is not something that you want to easily pull out, right? Or, you can add on all these add-ons to it and it just becomes a bit gruesome
Mhm.
after a while. It's a phenomenal tool, but all in the setup, like what we are talking about. And so as a company, gets further along in their
Mm,
journey, these kinds of things are foundational to it, right? So you want to protect that, but also nurture that so that you can maximize the tool as it evolves, which
mm,
is what you were talking about is, as chat and all these other ones evolve, please don't think that, these other tools are, being laid to rest because they're not, definitely not for the larger players when you think in terms of, Google Gemini and Claude, coming out with things, all the time. And it's so funny when I hear people talking about I've been using Claude. Like I had been using Claude
mhm.
like in the very beginning. So I was almost introduced to both of them around the same time or very shortly after. And so I immediately start toggling between the two. And I
Mhm.
would take some of the information that I was getting from chat, put it over into Claude and vice versa, because I
Right.
just wanted to, make sure that I had really good perspective. In saying that, that foundation piece, number one, to my small business owners, make sure that you are getting a full playbook for from your business from these tools. Make sure you're downloading it. Make sure you're keeping it off platform so that it's something that you can use and update as your business
Right.
grows. It's really a very good historical record. That is even something that I think in the past before AI was difficult for small businesses to have. They didn't have that kind of artifact where you could go in and all of the different things about your business, outside of the CEO, who knew about all of the why decisions, like why we did this, why we did that. It just didn't exist. And
Exactly.
now you can literally have a digital, playbook of your business, and all these different things and how you've trained these AI tools to help you in the decisions that you made. So it's definitely something that I think it strengthens your use in whatever AI tool you use. You can decide how much of it you want to put into the next AI tool, but the point is you as the owner or the operator don't have to continue to like catch it up, bring the tool up to speed. And so that the 70% that you're talking about, that has to feed into that. Like the fact that you don't have to teach
Exactly.
every new tool, all of this stuff about your business beyond your website is what I'm saying. Cause I know a lot of people go, oh, I put in my website link. Well, that's not enough. There is, what you talked about, those foundational things about why you started your business, the offers that you have, who your target audience is, and how you operate and deliver your service or product.
Mhm.
Those kinds of things collaboratively coming together in a holistic way and being able to leverage that in these tools is golden. So
Exactly.
I love that you're doing that. Well, go
And
ahead.
I I just wanna mention one more thing, why we, founded the National Association for Women in AI, in addition to the obvious, right? We all need to learn it, that the industry is dominated by men by 78%,
Mm.
and we want to change that, but a lot of what you're hearing in terms of what Otissa and I are saying and making sure that you kinda what we're saying is stay focused, right?
Yeah.
Operationalize your business and stay focused. You're hearing a lot of these different tools because you have people in this industry that are just making tools and throwing them out there, and a
Mhm.
lot of, I hate to say, like, bro talk, like tech talk. And what we're doing in this conversation and in many other conversations is slowing it down and helping you to understand how to
Mhm.
stay focused and get clarity with these tools and in your
Yes.
business.
Yes.
And you
Yes.
need to have them. They're not going anywhere.
Yep.
But, you know, Otissa has the gift of giving you clarity, right? How do you get the best out of your best outcome, right? Because that's what it's about. It's about business
Yeah.
outcomes. And so you
Mhm.
don't have to know all the tools.
Yep. No.
You don't have to master all the tools, but
Mhm.
you do need to know, you know, your top 3, right? Let's go back to the rule of
Yes.
3. Get your top 3.
Yep.
You're the
Yep.
ones that I these are the ones that that are my foundation, and the
Yeah.
other ones, you know, I mess around on the side with them a little bit, right? My foundation, right?
It's like the dessert that you have. You shouldn't have dessert every night,
Every time, right? Okay, just a
but
little bit, right,
occasionally,
right,
you
and then
need
I
an
can bring
image.
it
You shoot
back
a
and make
video.
it healthier, right? I can bring it home and make it healthier for me and make it fit me, tweak the dessert
Exactly.
a little bit.
Yep.
So, that's what we try to get together to help you to do. Otis is here to help you get your operation straight. NAWAI is here, to help us to be in the room together to
Yeah.
do these kind of things together to make sure that we get greater clarity. Yeah.
Yes, yes. I
Mhm.
love that, and I could talk to LaVada, as you can tell, I could talk to her for hours, and we have before, but
Yes.
time is limited in this moment. I so appreciate you just joining me and having this conversation. I know that it's gonna help a lot of people. You guys make sure you comment, like, share this conversation, but I'm so excited for just the journey that even I'm on personally, LaVada, with NAWA and, NAWAI. I keep saying that, NAWAI. I am personally excited about that because I believe we're only scratching the surface as to how it's going to help and empower, in the coming months and the coming years ahead. It is a turbulent time in a lot of different ways, but I think it's a very grounding organization that I am so grateful to be a founding member of. And I'm so grateful to Levada and the rest of the leadership team for putting it together with us in mind and really going after leveling the playing field, but also creating new opportunities.
Mhm.
So, with that, I applaud you. I'm inspired by you, and I'm thankful for all the work that you and the team do to continue this for everybody. I'm talking about my personal little piece, but I know that there are other women in the organization that feel equally, as inspired by the work that you guys have set out to do and how you're willing to, lead in this way. So, thank you for that. So, here's Levada, I want you to tell people how they can contact, through both of your organizations if they are interested. And I'll tell you guys, I'll wrap us up.
So head on over to www.thewomeninai and fill out our contact form, set up time to speak with us. We would love to
Yes.
get to know you. www.thewomeninai.
Perfect. Thank you guys. Thank you for your time. And yeah, till the next combo. Bye.
Thank you.